Ask Reddit.
Teachers of Reddit, what is the funniest thing you've ever heard a student say?
Besides being called mom numerous times, I've been called grandpa once. I'm female.
I did taekwondo when I was a kid, and when I was spacing out and a teacher called on me, I shot up and yelled yes sir was fucking embarrassing. I cringe to this day. I've called middle-aged women sir on accident as an adult. I almost called my boss sir one time, and I don't think I recovered too smoothly. Hey, Sir Rogers, can you scan these things in for me? Yes ma'am, you got it.
Me. Can anyone tell me some of the things we get from farms? Fourth grader. Hamburgers. Me. Okay. Sort of. If we take a hamburger apart, what all do we get from a farm? Fourth grader. Hamburgers come from hamburger farms, missus. I read about it online.
That kid's older brother deserves a medal or something. If his older brother created an article online just to troll his brother, that would be amazing. Inspect element.
Use Viddler autoresponder. If you do inspect element, he'll just refresh the page. You can get some serious trolls with it.
At the time I was teaching middle school math and we were going through solving two-step equations. We came to the point of having the students making their own real-world problems for them to solve and then have a partner solve the problems each made. The one caveat I put on the activity was that each situation had to be appropriate. One student then chimes in with, "So, that means we can't make a question about dead hookers, right?" It was extremely difficult not to laugh in front of a classroom full of 13 and 14-year-old middle schoolers. My stepmom still brings this up 7 years later. "So, your stepmom is 20 or 21 now?" Haha, no. I told her about it after the fact. I teach elementary band. One time we were preparing for a challenging playing test and a student said, "Man, I need to practice." Without missing a beat, the kid next to him says, "My mom says I need Jesus." Jesus.
And now it's Ops Cake Day. A miracle.
There he is. Oh man. I teach Koreans. There is no V sound in the Korean language, so a lot of stuff with a V becomes a P or B. Valentine's Day, for example. They know what a V is, so pronunciation just depends on if they've read the word using the Korean alphabet or the English one. One time, a group of students wanted to do a skit about Sailor Venus. So the whole skit was about Sailor Penis. Sailor Penis fights using penis's power of love and ties down enemies using her special penis love chain. Pretty sure that's an entire genre of hentai all by itself. Why does that premise sound so familiar? Because Prahard. That's why. Taught ESL for a year. Had an adorable 6-year-old who could not say clock. We worked for weeks at it with her, she just could not say it. "Poppy, what time is it?" "It's 6 o'clock." I couldn't help but laugh every time. This might sound dumb, but what's ESL? I looked it up and only got results about experts, which I don't think 6-year-olds would be much into. English is a second language. Went to China and taught English to kids aged 2.5 all the way up to 17. Pre-K, a kid was squirming as we line up to go to lunch. I asked if he needed to go to the bathroom. He says no, but keeps squirming. I ask if he's sure that he doesn't need to go and if he's okay. His reply, "I'm okay. It's just that my penis is so big." He had an erection. Ha. As a nanny, I took care of twin boys. One morning when they were 4, they were eating breakfast while I tidied the kitchen, and one boy says to the other, "It happened again." I woke up and my peanuts were standing straight up. The other boy says, "Happens all the time." I about died laughing. 4-year-olds talking about morning wood. And no, we didn't teach them peanuts, they had just both misheard penis. My 4-year-old son says my wee-wee's popped, it won't go down. Poor fella. My son used to say his willy was strong when he had an erection, we found it very amusing. THEPOWER. Not a teacher, but when I was in middle school our teacher started the day by ranting about how kids these days need to go outside more to get vitamin D because it'll make them not depressed and a lot happier. Halfway through the class she gets into an ungodly rage, probably about something trivial. The minute she's done, without skipping a beat, my buddy says, "Why don't you go outside and look at the sun?" The class starts dying with laughter, but the teacher doesn't find it so funny. He actually got suspended for that one. I had a teacher who would rant about how unhealthy the food we were eating was. Went on and on about how chips and gummies and our lunches in general was packed full of sugar. After she gave us our assignment she sat down and sneakily ate a whole Aero chocolate bar. No one in class let her live that down when she started on the same tangent. That same thing happened to me, except my teacher bashed on sodas, and we found a pack of Coca-Cola under her desk. I've never seen a misspelling of Coca-Cola before. No big deal, just surprised I haven't. The extra L is for cocaine. First grade. 6 years old lil dude about 3 feet tall and 80 pounds walks in late from recess. Me, why you late? Kid grabs his hunk of belly with both hands like a ball of cream cheese and says, the ladies love this. Sits down like nothing happened with no smile.
He's prepared to be the ultimate ad with the bod.
He's too powerful to be stopped now. Grad student, I have to ta for various professors. In my medieval history class, I had a student write in his paper, the story of Rafkal's saga takes place in the mythical land of Iceland. All the medieval studies grad students still laugh at that one. Also for a film class I had we were watching Schindler's List, and the professor shared a story about Holocaust survivors in her family. Then a student said, in front of a class of 150, oh you mean you're Jewish? I thought they were extinct me, also Jewish, and the professor just laughed. People have tried for centuries, but we naturally have thick hides. I ended up saying, at least we started a very heavy subject with some levity. How do you get to college thinking that Jewish people are extinct? I have no idea. Other professors later told me that this year's batch of freshmen were some of the dumbest people they've ever met. In this area there are a lot of shitty public schools and super weird religious schools, so I guess that's why. I remember thinking at the time, have you never been to New York or Florida?
I had a junior in high school ask if Jews were extinct. She also thought Hitler was just made up, like a boogeyman.
Oof, I don't even want to imagine what her family's like that said Hitler's actions were pretty boogeyman-like, like so objectively evil that you almost don't want to believe he existed or it happened.
Here's my absolute favorite story I have not yet told on Reddit. I had a student who was a newcomer, just moved to the US, almost no English, from Latvia. This kid is very bright and was one of my favorite 6th graders ever. We were having our annual jogathon, which is linguistically and culturally not translatable from Latvian. Student. So I pay you and you make me run? Me. Yeah, that's actually how it goes. Student. This is simple. I don't pay you, you don't make me run. Me. Ah.
I wouldn't make him run. He looked at the system and pointed out how stupid it is. I worked in an inner-city school. First day, I got around hard to pronounce names by calling out last names to check attendance and asking my kiddos what name they preferred and explained even nicknames were okay, so long as parents knew who I would be calling about. I get to one particularly dark-skinned young man, and he says something that sounds like "Black boy." I look around, and no one is laughing. I ask him to repeat himself a couple of times and finally and clearly says, "Black boy." Rest of convo went like this. Me laughing. "Black boy, you want me to call you black boy?" Him, totally serious. "Yeah, everyone calls me that. Even my grandma." Me. "So let me get this straight, when I need your attention you want me, a white guy, to shout out, 'Hey black boy, come here. Hey black boy, sit down. Hey black boy, pay attention?'" Other kids finally realize what I've been laughing about and start to laugh too. Him. "Yeah. Said like I'm an idiot." Me. "You're just trying to get me fired, aren't you?" Him. "So you're not gonna call me black boy?" Me. "I can't, man. You got another nickname?" Him. "How about monkey?" We settled on BB for the year. I teach sophomores. One day, this girl was sitting at her desk, looking very concerned and obviously wanted to ask me something. Finally, she blurted out, "Did anybody else see the moon in the sky during lunch? It's supposed to be out at night, something is wrong." This would be funny if you taught first graders. With sophomores, it's just sad. I have worked as an astrophysics star. I've learned to consistently lower my expectations. People don't even know geography that they should know, let alone astronomy. Student here, and I agree. It just didn't seem important when it was being taught, and now it's a consistent nuisance. Lol. I agree on those points. I had a girl in my high school class who thought Boston was in England. I can actually see that happening if they got the events of the Boston Tea Party wrong.
One time a kid asked me what I wanted to do when I grow up. Ouch. I am a teacher and have had this experience. I did that to the depressed 56-year-old lunch lady. I'm in this image and I don't like it.
One time I was asking students their birthdays. One boy told me that his birthday was September 31st. I tried to explain that this was not possible, but he insisted. Later, I looked it up. I then informed him that his birthday was November 17th. He looked at me kind of confused and said oh. Then his face brightened and he said, well, last year I know it was September 31st. Sounds like something his dad made up when he was being annoying lol. Source. I'm a dad. Yup. Taught my oldest kid wrong names for animals. Heffalumps and snoodles and weedles for cows, snakes, and horses. Drove her mom nuts when she refused to use the correct ones while visiting her sister, who raised cattle, at the state fair. Taught my youngest if he didn't let me put a band-aid on a small cut that all his blood would pour out. That one kind of backfired. My band-aid expenses skyrocketed over that one. Good to know someone's finally using heffalump in everyday speech. A lady I worked with told me of how their family came to use heffalump for elephants all the time. Even the adults. Apparently it was when her nephew was very small and like most kids, big words are hard to say, but heffalump rolled off the tongue far easier than elephant, and so he just called them that. And then started correcting people if they called them elephants. That nephew is now an adult with children of his own. The family still call elephants heffalumps.
One time my student said, can you ask my dad if it's okay that I want you to my real mom? I said you have a wonderful mom and he said, but it's not you. I wish you could put me to sleep at night BC, I would feel so good. I never forget this or the job I signed up for.
That's very cute. What grade do you teach? I remember I had the sweetest first grade teacher and on our last day out to summer break almost everyone including myself gave her a hug on the way out the door.
My graduating seniors did that to me this year.
Was tutoring after school a couple years ago. A kid asked what time is it? I joked, time for you to get a watch. He responded, time for you to get a new joke, without a moment's hesitation. I had to laugh at getting shown up by a 5th grader. 2 reading levels behind but witty as hell. I was at a store one time looking at a watch display. Someone came up to me and asked me if I knew the time. I pointed at the watches and said time for you to get a watch. They scowled at me and walked away. I mean come on, I was in the watch section. What did they expect? Maybe they wanted to set their new watch to the correct time? It's a common marketing ploy to set all analog display watches to 10 past 10. It's part of the whole sex sells mindset. Wore a Captain America shirt to school since the student council had a superhero day. A student said I looked like Captain America before the injections. At least he didn't call you fat. Someone once told me I look like Chris Pratt and then said but not like Jurassic World Chris Pratt. But like Parks and Rec Chris Pratt, most backhanded insult I've ever received. P&R Chris Pratt is the best.